Hey guys, welcome back to some more Super Mario Galaxy. It's in this Rosalina's bedroom. I feel like I walked into the wrong bedroom. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm intruding. I'll just leave.
You're not supposed to be in there.
I'll go literally anywhere else.
We'll go to the famous galaxy of the game.
This is probably, yes, like Matt's saying, the most well-known galaxy, Gusty Garden. You'll recognize the song because it's in literally every Mario game after this. Gusty Garden has just kind of become the new World 1-1, essentially, for 3D games, because it's referenced all the time now.
Yeah, Gusty Garden's music, which, don't get me wrong, I love Gusty Garden's theme so much. It's like, the best, honestly, if I had to say the best, like, musical track on the game, it's probably there.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of good tracks in this game from what I've heard so far, so I can't really say this is the best.
Yeah.
It's up there, that's for sure. But I think a lot of people do kind of forget, though, that this is not the first time we've heard the specific melody, because Good Egg Galaxy has a very similar melody to Good Egg, or the Gusty Garden. They kind of use the same thing, but to be fair, Mario games do that a lot. A song will just kind of be like used here and there, like throughout the entire game. They'll just use one melody and build upon it. I mean, Mario World's very famous for that for pretty much the entirety of the game.
You know, I replayed a bunch of 3D Mario games, you know, not too long ago, especially like whenever like 3D All-Stars came out. But a game I haven't replayed in a while is Odyssey. I literally haven't played Odyssey since it came out. And I kind of want to go back and play it.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, honestly, that game is one of those, like, you want to play maybe once every few years thing, just because it's a lot of fun, but it's also very, very long if you go for all the moons. Doubly so if you're going for all the moons by buying them in the shop before Luigi update. Because that's just you grinding out all this money in, like, the most boring ways possible. I'm so glad for the little Balloon World update. I fixed so many of my grinding problems.
Well, I want to play. I probably will play Mario Odyssey again someday soon. I really like that one. I think that's like, I know that's everybody's favorite game on Switch, besides like Breath of the Wild. If it's Breath of the Wild, it's Mario Odyssey, which I can completely understand because I love Odyssey too. Odyssey's all amazing.
There's an Odyssey too?
I wish there was.
Everyone wished. There has been talks that maybe the team that made Odyssey 1 has been working on 2 this whole time. It's been like close to 7 years. I don't know, man. That Copian only goes so long.
Oh man, I don't know.
Hey, remember Switch 2 is supposed to come out soon too, right? So that may be the opening game for that system.
True, but also the Switch Pro has been rumored since 2017, so we thought that was going to come out next year. That next year became 7 years later.
No, it's just like, Odyssey 2. It's like, fabled, Switch 2 and, the fabled Mario Sunshine DLC update for Mario Odyssey.
What in the world is Sunshine gonna update at this point?
God. No, like, it's because back in the day, when Odyssey came out, people looked at the world map and they saw Delfino Island on the world map, so people was like, oh, we're gonna get Sunshine DLC.
And then nothing happened.
And then nothing happened. And I'm just like, I'm at the point now where if a game doesn't have DLC, good. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some game that I really do. I really like their DLC, like, both Splatoon games have really good DLCs. I really do think so.
Does it really? Because Splatoon 1 didn't have any.
I said Splatoon 2 and 3. Did I say Splatoon 1?
You said both Splatoon games. To me, I'm thinking Splatoon 1 and 2 when you're saying that. Both Switch ones, 2 and 3.
I said both. I meant the ones on Switch. My bad. Sorry. The both ones on Switch. But, Xenoblade 2 and 3's DLC is amazing, and I really like that.
I hate you.
By the way, I really like that speedrun stat.
I'm sorry, I brought a gun to a chase fight. Obviously, Star Big Gun wins.
I'm gonna have to remember this stuff.
Please don't catch me so easily next time.
The chases are a joke if you have crap ton of star bits. Just use those.
Even the bunny was like, please play the video game right next time.
Mario, please leave the star bit shooter at home.
I want to have a little bit more challenge to the video game.
Yeah, we will have a challenging section of bunnies later. We still have more bunnies to catch.
One game I want to go back and play with you guys at some point is 3D World again.
Yeah, 3D World is just such a solid Mario game in general. Which is so funny, because when that game was first shown, everyone groaned, because it didn't really look that great. But then Trailer 2 came out, and it looked like the best game of all time. Like, fan reception on that changed quick, I'm glad, because it's a really solid game.
Yeah, 3D World was one of my favorite games on the Wii.
The fact that it's online multiplayer just makes it 10 times better.
Yeah, thank God. It's like, that was like the worst part about the original release. But to be fair, Wii U, early Wii U, like of course Nintendo isn't gonna do online stuff. They still don't know how to do online, period. It's 2024, they still don't know how to do online stuff that well, but they're learning.
Slowly but surely.
Hey, they're still doing better than Sony that never has online anymore.
I mean, to be fair, Sony's whole gimmick now for games is always kind of like the same story-heavy single player, so that's why fans are getting tired of that.
Cinematic, hyper-realism. I saw a post
Well,
the
the
other
reason I
day.
say that is because Rest in Peace, Little Big Planet 3.
Yeah, the rest in peace, Little Big Planet. I saw a post. Someone posted like a clip from gosh, what was that one TV show that's out now? It's like Smiling Friends, I think that's what it's called. But it's just like saying, it's like, well, everything since you left in 2014, you know, things have not been the same since you left. He's like, well, people don't want creative popping bubbles and community gathering. They want their hyper-realism, single-player action games. Cinematic.
It's like that robot in Banjo, not Kazooie 3, but the car game.
Oh yeah, the robot from Banjo Nuts and Bolts.
Yeah.
For Game Master, I think that's what it's called.
I think you're right on that, yeah.
Like, people don't want collectathon games. It's like, you can't tell me what to do.
It was very ironic they said that, because then they immediately re-released Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie and the XBLA, like, what, a year or so later? And it showed the exact opposite. Like, oh, I guess people actually wanted that. Oops.
It's like, oh, I guess people really did want their collectathon.
I like collectathon games. That's just me.
I mean, as long as it's not too bloated, yeah, I'm fine with them. Like, they're still fun to explore. We just don't need 500 collectibles, like, per character or something crazy. I think Donkey Kong 64 still holds the record for, like, the most collectibles in any game you had to get. Which is so surprising that has not been topped to this day, because some companies flat out try to be like a DK64 nowadays, because of the nostalgia push.
Speaking of collectathons, I need to play through Ukulele Impossible Lair at some point.
Yeah, thankfully that's not really a collectathon, so that's very easy to pick up and play.
Yeah. I mean, like, just the fact that Ukulele, the first one, was collectathon. And honestly, I think that game's fine. I think that game's really fun. Really wish people would not, you know, get upset with that game. You know? Like, I'm going to be a ukulele defender till the day I die, because I really like that game. I'm glad I actually backed that game when it came out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid game. I do think its launch was a little rough on it, because now you look back and I think people, at least a lot of them, have kind of changed the tune on just like hating it to just at least admitting that, you know, it's a pretty alright adventure. Though some fan reception has changed, but yeah, I do think people are a little harsh. Because I don't know what people were expecting from a game that was, you know, themed around the idea of being like a Banjo-Kazooie experience from the Banjo-Kazooie devs that became a collectathon. Do you guys not remember that's what Banjo-Kazooie was? That was kind of the point. So I expected that going right into it, and I got exactly what I expected.
Yeah, I got exactly what I expected, and I was happy with it.
And I was fine with that, because it was like a fun game.
It was a fun game, and I was happy with it. I like.
But how do you feel about the sequel?
Impossible Lair is actually really good. Like, from what I've seen, it's really, really good. The fact that Impossible Lair like gives you the option to like start the final level at the beginning of the game, and it's like super hard is really kind of funny.
Yeah. If you know what you're doing and you're good at the game, you can actually beat it immediately. And it's like maybe a half an hour adventure. But if you're not comfortable with that level, because it is extremely difficult, then it's a pretty meaty game, you know, like filled with 12 plus hours of content. And I always see it on sale nowadays for like $5 or less, so it's a no-brainer.
It's like a lot of people claim it's like as good as Donkey Kong Country 2, and that's saying something.
It really is. To be fair, I do believe some of the people working on that title did work on some of the Donkey Kong Country games, because X-Rare devs.
By the way, we're still talking about the boss. This boss is not too hard. You just have to do basically what you're doing with the moles beforehand. You ground pound near them, they pop their heads out.
Yep. Like, that's what this whole level was kind of doing this whole time, is preparing you for the big mole here. And the game does a really good job being very subtle at telling you how to do stuff, because the game didn't flat out spell out, you need to ground pound here to get these moles out of the ground. They put little stones around the levels to tell you if you ground pound, you'll get something out of it. And when you break the stone, then the mole comes out. It's like, oh, I guess that will also free the mole and I can attack it. It's a very subtle way of telling the player what to do, but without fully spelling it out, which I always appreciate when games do that. That's not handholdy at all. In fact, that actually encourages you to explore and play around with the mechanics.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll talk about how that mole could be annoying to fight, because we have to fight him again very soon.
Oh.
Too soon, Lester. Too soon.
Not yet.
Oh man, not yet. We got one more star. Maybe it'll come back and come by.
Yeah, we met the criteria for it at this point, because the star here for the comet is a daredevil. We get to fight that boss again, so I guess we have to give it some time.
Gravity. Yeah, Gusty Garden Gravity Scramble. That's almost an alliteration.
This is the one part of Gusty Garden I'm like, what does this have to do with a garden?
They didn't know what to do with it.
It's the most random thing, and it breaks the theming of the galaxy. And also, you love the song? You won't for long, because it'll be changing.
It's like songs like this that make me really wish that Nintendo put their soundtracks on Spotify or something like that instead of,
Yeah?
you know.
Like, it sucks every time they've released the Mario Galaxy soundtrack in some fashion. It's this weird limited release method. Like, they released this alongside of certain Wiis, so you had to buy a whole video game console to get the soundtrack on a CD. You know, with a console that can't play CD music discs. So that was really confusing. Then you have the 3D All-Stars collection, either physical or digital. You can play back the songs in the soundtrack, but then they discontinued this after 6 months, so soundtrack gone again. Like, can they just not release this correctly? Can we not just actually be able to buy it and keep it, or get it on at least like a streaming platform? Every time, the Galaxy soundtrack is doomed to die.
They tend to do that a lot where they have limited releases, don't they?
Oh yeah.
Well, limited time releases as well, so.
It's like, I just want to listen to my song and I don't want to have to pull it up on YouTube and waste my battery on my phone pulling up YouTube and having it on the background, because I ain't paying for YouTube Premium. I ain't doing that.
For one song? No.
The one limited release I still don't understand to this day. Minus the whole, like, we're gonna re-release a whole, like, collection of games and then pull it. Then we're also gonna make a online game for 6 months that's free and then pull it, which is even more baffling. But the big one to me has always been the Fire Emblem one. The NES game for their anniversary being released for a handful of months, and then they pulled it when they have the NES collection of games on the Switch service. And it's still, after like 3+ years, has not been added to that.
Yeah.
Nintendo loves limited release methods in the most confusing ways. At least Star Fox 2, as a limited release that was on the SNES Classic systems, got put on the Switch like a year after they were like done making that console.
I don't know, man. It's just like, it just is. it's a pain in the butt because after life I want to listen to these like tunes from Nintendo and stuff like that. I just have to either listen to it on YouTube or YouTube videos, or have to listen to a remix done by YouTube remix artist.
Yeah,
which is fine. They do a pretty good job, but
You like the originals always better.
yeah.
I'd like to listen to the original.
That's why it's just very confusing every time they've tried to release some kind of a soundtrack. It's always been in a limited fashion, but you never can actually just buy it again. Especially nowadays with how easy it is just to re-release stuff in a digital format.
Oh god. Butt clench moment there for a moment there.
Hey, we're fine. If anything bad happens, at least I get my life back. There, throw all the fear out the window with like 10 coins out of nowhere. We're good. Shortcut?
That's what I was saying. That was funny. Long jump, and then gravity's gonna do its thing and kind of pull me all over the place.
Yeah, trying to get the chips here is weird because of the gravity. Like, right here, when you're seeing Mario do whatever the heck that was, I was holding one direction on the stick. The problem with the Galaxy physics sometimes, or the gravity in general, is just when you're on like a ledge, that's when the controls start to get confused. They hold one direction, it might as well be all directions. That's the one thing I give Galaxy 2 credit for. Those kind of situations don't happen as much. But it's also because Galaxy 2 has more flat level design, so you get a little bit of a trade-off by fixing the controls. To fix it, we must make things flat.
Doesn't feel so grandiose now, does it?
No.
I don't know, I haven't played Galaxy 2, can't really give an opinion on that. So.
Don't worry, by the time we do our Galaxy 2 playthrough, whenever that is, then you'll hopefully have the experience under your belt. And if not, we'll just immediately title the first episode, the game Matt still has not played. That's the promise.
Please don't play it so we can get the title.
That's the promise. If I haven't either, because I honestly think I'm probably gonna stream it at some point. It's just I gotta figure out how to hook my Wii or the Wii U up and use motion controls and stuff like that with my streaming setup.
Yeah, it's like, hey, either we just use like a gamepad and just use the IR pointer from that, or good old duct tape to a monitor.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the stars for now in Gusty Garden. Like, to be honest, Gusty Garden isn't like anything that we haven't seen before up to this point, but it's still like a fun galaxy. So, we'll be back at some point because that comment ain't here yet. So, moving on.
What's the next one? Freeze Flame.
This is honestly one of my favorite galaxies to explore, which is good because it's honestly one of the biggest. Like, this galaxy feels a lot more like a Mario 64 level when you really look at it, because it gives you a lot of that open-ended exploration like Mario 64. It also helps it's gigantic.
Yeah.
Or at least on the frozen side. Because this is actually broken up into a hot and a cold area, which is a fun trope a lot of games do. But first star is in the frozen area.
This reminded me of Hellfire Peaks from Banjo-Tooie.
Dude, I just noticed the detail. That penguin's head is reflecting off of that rock in the middle. And it was so big.
I like this rendition of the underground theme.
Yeah.
Because it does sound like you're in space.
It fits.
I mean, they can't just use the actual song for underground theme. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, as I could pull out the OG 8-bit version, just put in a 3D game in space, it's gonna feel out of place.
Yeah. That's just something some kind of lazy, like ROM hat designer does or something like that.
Or modern day game because it's a throwback. Also known as I didn't want to commission any more music.
Oh, we're gonna do Ice Mario again. We haven't done him in a... it wasn't that long ago when we had last saw him.
I mean, Ice Mario is like used like here or there. I mean, it's one of the powers that isn't like overused in the game, but yeah, when it's used, it's mainly in open areas like this. And now we go from ice to a new power, Fire Mario. It's so powerful, puts my leg into like the platform.
What do you mean new power?
New power to this experience because we get the tutorial message. Yeah, this is not a new power. This has been in the series since 1985.
This power up is...
That's a new power, all right.
I was about to say, it's like, what do you mean new power? Fire Mario's existed since the beginning.
New to us. Haven't seen it before.
Wasn't that like his first power up? Besides like the mushroom?
Yeah, like, besides like, yeah, the super mushroom, or you want to take it one step further, the hammer, because of Donkey Kong. Because that was really like Mario's real true like first appearance.
Man, you really said nuts to all this platforming, huh?
Yeah. Gee, it's like we're gonna maybe be back here later or something.
Who likes platforming?
I really hate that you just big old show off. You know that?
Hilari's still looking at Mario's like, oh, every time I try to have 5 minutes myself, this stupid man keeps on showing up. I just want to be in peace. Get out of my room!
I just want to go to bed.